I thought Mary Sue's would be a way bigger problem in my writing career back when I was in middle school. I used to spend hours and hours taking Mary Sue tests for each and every one of my characters to prove that they were not Mary Sue's. And while it did give me a lot of time to build characters, as taking any online quiz for your character will do, it didn't really help me as a writer. The idea of not making a Mary Sue really got in the way of making cool things. The thing about Mary Sue's is that they kind of fall into two categories. There's the self-indulgent, overpowered character, and there's the bland self-insert. And are these things actually negative traits? Like, honestly. Let's start with the self-indulgent characters, the overpowered god mods. And so what? I understand the issue with them in roleplays, kind of, but when you're making an original character, there's nothing wrong with making an overpowered Sailor Scout ripoff without any flaws. Because this is the starting point for a lot of artists and writers. We all start by ripping things off. It's how you find your own creative voice. It's okay to sound like a bunch of other people before you can find your own voice. It's the struggle. It's hard. And shaming new creators for making characters that can win a battle against the universe itself is how you stop something badass in the making. The fact that someone writes a convoluted, overpowered backstory, that's not the problem. Plenty of amazing stories have complicated, over-the-top backstories. The issue is a lack of skill, a lack of understanding on how to raise stakes, how to create conflicts, and a whole host of other things. Boiling the issue down to you make a Mary Sue is useless. And switching over to the self-inserts for a second, you write yourself is the complaint. But, does no one ever write about themselves? Every character is a culmination, a distillation of a writer's experiences. It should be no shock that an inexperienced writer, what's the phrase? Writes what they know. And that's to say nothing of blank slates. There is nothing wrong with creating a blank slate character meant for the readers to project themselves onto. Wish fulfillment is a perfectly reasonable and valid form of making a story. It's sustained entire genres like romance, and there's nothing wrong with it because people enjoy it. And that's all that kind of matters in the end, is if you have a story and people enjoy it, even if that person is just you. And that's not even saying that creating compelling characters that have their own strong traits is bad. We don't get rid of first-person video games because other people like third-person, do we? No. The issue I have with the entire concept of the Mary Sue is much like same face syndrome. It's really easy to latch onto when you're young. It's an oversimplification of much greater problems. Or at worst, it's someone's personal taste being forced onto a character that isn't meant for them. The idea that if you somehow remove Mary Sue's from your work, you'll be better down the road, it's not a road I want to go down. The unfortunate truth at the end of the day is that the inclusion or exclusion of Mary Sue's in your work doesn't make you a better writer, and it doesn't make you a worse writer. The truth is that writing is really hard. There's a lot to it. There isn't a checklist that you can run your story through and have a good story at the end. There's no promise of that. It's vague, it's subjective. And that's really hard. So don't be hard on yourself, indulge a bit on things you like to write. Basically, don't change what you want to write, change how you write it, and just get better at those skills. There's plenty of wonderful Mary Sue's for you to look up to and write about in your future, okay? Sound like a bunch of other people, write a bunch of boring characters, write a bunch of crazy, convoluted characters. Just have fun and practice. That's all I wanted to say. And stop obsessing over Mary Sue's because your life will be greater for it. Thank you so much for listening to me. This is a bit of a shorter video because I am having a bit of a day, a bit of a week, a bit of a month here with the convention prep. It's so lovely talking to you on the live streams, and you guys give me so much strength and determination, and yeah, see you guys next week, or well, I guess I see you on Saturday for the stream, definitely. Yeah, give me a high five, guys.